Hey, it's good seeing you today. House of the Lord. It was in the key of C major. The way we had that C major to that A minor, that G sus4 to the 2, you can use a whole bunch of different chords to do this. C major. You could use your A minor 7 because it incorporates the C. Your G sus can have just the perfect 4th right here, just playing on the G to the C. And then lastly, one of the concepts that we were trying to go around was how to name a chord. So rather than naming a chord like C, D, E, C, and then D, this would be how we play a 9. Now, that's an add 9. When we have a C9, we need to have that B flat in there. So essentially what we're doing is building a chord that has a little bit more substance. If we were to play a 2 chord, we wouldn't call any of the minor chords minor 2s. We would just call that a 9 chord. F sharp, definitely over the top of an E minor, is a 9 chord, not a sus2. Same thing with the 4 chord. 1, 2, 3, 4. If we played an E minor and added the 4, we wouldn't call this a E minor add 4 or an E minor 4 or E sus4. We would just call it an 11 chord. 9, 10, 11. Cool. So after we get the basis of our chords, we know how to name these individuals. One of the things we want to do in reading a piece of music, and I'm going to make this super simple for you. It's under 2 minutes, I swear. For this song, House of the Lord, you want to try it in the key of C, C major, C2, or C sus2, G major. We have a sus4, so it goes sus4 to an F2. So we can have our F built out, add in our G, anywhere we want it. The concept I was trying to show you is when you have your C major, and then they go to the A minor, should be kind of quiet in the verse. The chorus gets a little bit louder. Keep with your major root foundation, and then when you want to branch out, maybe your G, and then maybe your F2. Maybe you would play it like kind of like you would play the same thing as a C sus, which is why we would say a C sus4 and an F2 are extremely similar. In fact, they're the same chord if you look at it. It just depends on what the intonation and the interval mass is you want, where you're going with the melody. The only thing that I wanted to point out as far as this is to keep centrally located. In the beginning, you know? Then you can spread out to all of your different chord inversions. The only other thing I would point out is know your intro, know exactly how it feels, what key you're in, the dynamic level of the verse versus the chorus, the dynamic level of the interlude going to the verse, how the song flows. Like when it comes down to here, I think it goes to chorus 1A, which means this is a coda. It goes all the way back and then comes right back to the ending. But at the ending, there's a little bit of a different marking, which means we've got our C major to our D minor to an A minor, G, F. So the concept is that D minor is the chord that's not in the whole song, besides being the relative minor of the key of F. So when having this, might move to the D minor 7, and then hit a low D to give it a little bit more gravitas to the A minor, to the G sus, to the F. I'm pretty sure it ends on a 1, even though the last chord here is on the F. However, could be wrong. I haven't listened to the song since we did. Knowing the outro, knowing the intro. So the two most important songs, 2 parts of the song are, well, 4 parts. Key signature, time signature, which is in the key of C or A. 4/4, about, I don't know, 85 to 90 beats per minute, something like that. the intro, and then the whole song's in the same key. And the only chord that's used outside of the key of C, which isn't the same, would be the D minor. So if you're doing this in the key of, let's just take the last verse, the ending. If you're doing this in the key of C, C sus 2, C, G sus, F major, C, C sus 2. Again, C, G sus, F2, G sus, C, D minor, A minor, G sus, into an F. So if we modulated that into the key of D, we'd have D major, D2. We'd have our D again, and then we would have our 4 chord made into a sus. So D, E, F sharp, G, A. When we go from C to G in the original key, it's a 5. But when we go to D to A, it's a 5th. Same thing. So our new chord is going to be A sus, and then it's going to drop back down to its F, because that's what the G was, or to a G, because the F is what it was in the ending. So the way I would do it is I would play C to C2, then to G sus. Now try that in D. And if it sounds the same, boom, you did your modulation fine. Then move on. C, C2, C sus, G sus 4, F. Then you try D, D2, D, A sus, then G. And if that pattern seems to line up, you line it up with the melody. Try to do intros and outros. And next week, she said you have a little bit more. The idea is use this in root position. And then try to use it outside of root position using the inversions and incorporating the notes for the chord themselves. The 2 chords, the 4 chords, and then the 7th chords, whether it's minor or major. And then the big takeaway from today is we don't name any minor chords as sus. Those will either be a 9 chord, so if we did this, that's a 9, or it'd be an add 9. Add 9 just puts the single note. If you had a 9 chord, you would have your dominant 7th. And since this is a D minor 7, you could also use all of your pentatonics. Flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7, 1. Very good seeing you today. Aloha.